So we'll get started. So today's open mic was just going to be on the QA for the TAV data system. And so I didn't get a ton of questions, but I have about 6, so I can go over those today. And I know it's a little bit confusing talking about a data system without looking at it, but I'm not going to pull it up today. So I will send out the QA after I'm done. So I'll bring the questions up on the screen right now, and then I'll send out the answers after we're done. And then if more things arise afterwards, I'm happy to answer those too. But it is a lot easier for Michelle and I to get the questions in advance rather than kind of discuss some on-the-fly questions today. Since it's new to us all, the data system is new to us too. It takes us a little bit to research the answers. So we'll just go over the questions that were asked in advance of the meeting first. So let me bring them up. Okay. And before I get started, I also want to let everybody know that the user's guide is now in the library in TAV. So, or the first 5 user manual is in the library. So that should be a really helpful resource for everybody. And I think a draft manual went out when your agencies were being trained. But now this one is a bit more finalized. I mean, it could still change, but it's definitely more finalized than whatever was given out during super user training. So it should be a little bit more helpful than whatever you may have seen before. So, okay, we'll get started. So the first question is asking about how in CARES, we had asked that one person enter the data in the first 5 tabs to keep things consistent. Are there parts of the first 5 episode in TAB that would need to be the same person each time? Or can each care coordinator enter their own referrals in TAB? So that one, it's definitely, look at your agency policies first. I know every agency kind of does their data entry differently. I know some of you have just one person that does all the data entry, whereas others, care coordinators, do their own data entry. So I would fall back on whatever your agency's policy is first, but overall, yes, you can have different people entering the data. So it doesn't have to be just one person entering all the data in the TAB system. And I think that that may have come up a couple years ago when we were seeing different practice names being entered, and it was really confusing for Mary Nell to do the data. So we were trying to keep things consistent with practice names. But luckily in TAV, the practice name is already there. So we shouldn't have that trouble as much moving forward. So, all right, I'll move to the next one, referral outcome. So this question, they're just asking kind of the definition of referral outcome, if that's the referral from the doctor. And it is. So referral outcome is the outcome of the referral from the doctor. And then outcome is the outcome of the referral from the doctor, like whether the family was successfully contacted, linked to services, declined services, etc. The next question, the due dates on the left-hand side for activities in a bundle, can we change these dates? How are these dates determined? So you actually can change those dates. If you go in and click on the activity, you can change the dates within the calendar. And they were just determined by IDPH staff as a suggested time frame. So, we, like in the care coordination manual, we have some suggested time frames. So that's kind of what we went off to set up those due dates. Do we enter our initial conversation in an introduction call under comments or in care coordination? Same with follow-up call, or are all conversations entered in care coordination? So all conversations are entered in care coordination. We added the introduction call to the bundle, so you can put your comments there instead of adding a separate care coordination activity. Another question, are the barriers just for the referred child? Where do we put mom's barriers? And that's a good question. So same as in CARES, the barriers would include moms as well, but documented under the child. And then the last question, for referral, when inputting referral, you can choose more than one reason, but you can only choose one referral outcome. The referral outcome could be different for each reason. Should we add new activities for each reason for referral? So that's a good question too. So yeah, you can get multiple referral reasons from the provider. And just like in CARES, the referral outcome should be for the primary referral reason. So if multiple reasons were provided by the referring physician, just choose the most primary issue to report the referral outcome on. So that's kind of up to your own discretion. But whatever you see as primary or whatever you're working with the family the most on, that's what we would want the referral outcome to be reported on. So like I said, I didn't get a ton of questions, but those are the ones that I have prepared for today. Maybe that spurred some new questions in some of your minds, and that's perfectly fine. Feel free to send on anything that you have. I will send this out so that you can actually read the responses and kind of go through tab and see how things look visually instead of just listening to a QA. So hopefully that will help too. And then also, don't forget the user manual is up. And then I've had some questions about a full training, whether or not we're doing that. I don't know right now. I know that the original plan for TAV was for the super users to get trained and then train their agencies. So we'll have to talk about that here to see if that'll work, if we can do that or not. But I have had that question, so we're definitely considering it and looking into it, and we'll let you know. And luckily we have another month to kind of play around in the system and get more used to it, and make some minor changes if we need to. We won't go live now until early April. So I think that should help alleviate any troubles or questions as well. I think that's it, but feel free to send in questions. If I'm not hearing you, feel free to send into the chat box. I haven't heard anybody so far, so I'm not sure if my audio is not working. Okay, so I did have a question about entering documentation under care coordination, if it's still going to be something that gets pulled for MCAH audits. And as I understand right now, first 5 should not be being pulled for the MCAH audit, for the care coordination audit. So I know that it was kind of a fluke that it got pulled this last time in CARES, but luckily in TAB we're able to separate out the 2 things. So yeah, that's a good question, but the plan is that it will not be pulled as part of the MCAH care coordination audit. All right, anything else? I'm trying to think if we have any other announcements here. I think what we'll do then is continue to take questions throughout the month, and we can work with you all one-on-one. And then we'll, answer more questions next open mic, and maybe even the next one too, in May, after you've had a whole month of documenting things. And hopefully everybody will feel confident with the data system and that it's capturing everything we need. But yeah, feel free to send anything in, and I will get these responses out to you guys today, typed up, so that you can take a look at them. So, all right, well, I guess it was a short one today, but hopefully everybody has a great Monday, and we'll talk to you soon.